Hi, you guys. Okay, can you see this right now? The Education of a Value Investor by Guy Spier. This is exactly the kind of book I wanted to talk to you guys today because I just finished listening to it and it was literally one of the best investment books I've ever read for several reasons. I think the major reason was because Guy Spier, he really went deep into inner workings of an investor and what kind of is needed based on his perception when it comes to building wealth. I thought I'd start out this video by kind of giving you guys some of the major tips and just insights that I've gotten from this book before we kind of go over a little bit of an overview. All you guys need to know is, and maybe I'm excited right now too because we're in Switzerland, because Guy Spier is a Zurich-based investor and an author of the best-selling books, of course, that I read, The Education of a Value Investor. Yes, I'm using Wikipedia right now because I want to get not Wikipedia, Google. Who uses Wikipedia, right? But I'm using Google to just get it right and give you guys the facts of who he is, right? Because he's well known for bidding $650,100. So did you guys get that? $650,100 with Monish Pabrai for a charity lunch with Warren Buffett. That was on June 25th, 2008. So essentially I remember it from him telling from his story. He just bid out, I think it was hundreds and hundreds of people. Maybe it was thousands, but I think it was hundreds. Warren Buffett said, which was really untoward because it's usually kind of more like a loner type of person, more like a private person from what it seems like. But he did this charity event for one of Warren Buffett's charities. And then so Guy Spier and his kind of investing partner, and we get to why having an investing partner is important too. Monish Pabrai, who's another investor that really came from almost quote unquote nothing and really kind of grew his own investment fund to billions and millions of dollars. And he's a very successful investor as well. But so they kind of went ahead and bid on that lunch, and for Guy Spier, a dream come true. Meeting Warren Buffett was almost like a come to Jesus moment, if you can say that. But it was his huge idol, right? That he is kind of fanatic about throughout the book. At least he has a huge man crush on him, but for several reasons. But I find it just very cute in a way. Yeah, I'm gonna use cute. Just how he's really into the methodology from Warren Buffett and the investment strategy. And essentially throughout the book, you really notice that having the kind of mentor that he has not met prior to that lunch yet, but he has been following for, of course, years and years and years, just really kind of made a turn for Guy Spier. He was a little bit of a shady money manager at a little bit shady, I think it was an investment firm. And then he went ahead, I have to sort of check that because I don't want to tell you guys a wrong story, but essentially that was kind of the basics where he went from that and then he went ahead and just through discovering essentially Buffett and kind of his why for actually growing money and wealth and what's behind that and why he really wants to do all of this, why he's constantly kind of striving for more and more and more and getting that billionaire status, and there has to be kind of a main driver besides money, which is really interesting. And so he starts really kind of getting into deep diving into that inner work, which previously when I read investing books, it was mainly just the author or the author interviewed other investors. If you take money from Tony Robbins, right, that book, just investment strategies, right? However, there wasn't that much actually behind the scenes sort of content, and I think I was really loving this, enjoying it about book because it read almost like a novel a little bit. It was a bit of his biography or autobiography, and so that's one of the things I really enjoyed. But let's get to kind of some of the tips that I wanted to really share with you guys because I think they're vital. So even if you won't have the time to read this book, even though I think you should totally make this time, I listen to it because it's just much easier. I feel like as a busy mom and a business owner, I just listen to it when I go for a walk with my son and so on. And so the audiobook is really great. You guys would enjoy it. So let's get into the tips. So first of all, Guy Spier is saying that there are 7 questions that you want to be asking yourself before investing. And so it's almost the ultimate investment checklist. And he has this printed out in his office in Zurich. It's just very important to him that he follows it before he makes any kind of investment. So the first one is the product, and I'm going to read this from my iPhone because I took the notes while I was listening to it because I knew I wanted to make a video about this book. So I'm going to read it off, but you guys should take notes as well. So if you have a chance right now, grab your computer, open your Google Docs and take notes or jot down with a pen and paper. So number 1, is the product the company offers by and large a good deal for the money for the consumer? Number 2, is the management team, the executives of the company going through any kind of personal scandals, right? For instance, a divorce or an affair or anything like that. And does the executive team take a correct amount of salary, or is he overpaying himself or severely underpaying himself, and why? Number 3, does the company make the world better and by and large, right, and benefit society? Is the company providing a win-win for its entire ecosystem, or are they kind of harming, for instance, the environment or a certain group of people or whatever not? not? Number 4, are the company's revenues leveraged for the global credit markets? For example, CarMax. I had to read this. What parts of the business could be influenced by economics? Number 5, how could this business be affected by other parts of the value chain of the economy? And I find this very interesting, especially in light of everything that went down with the pandemic right now. And then number 6, is the stock cheap in absolute terms, not in specific terms at the time of your investment, right? So not an arbitrary price in the future, but at the time you want to invest in. And are you going to overpay for your stock, or is it actually a bargain, or are you kind of right at the value the stock has at the time you want to purchase? And number 7, ping-ponging investment ideas with the right investment partners. You don't have to be legal partners, business partners. That's not what Spiers is talking about. He's talking about just having a person that you're completely vibing it with, that you really feel like you're in the same wavelengths and you guys love investing, so to speak. But you also have very interesting different viewpoints in terms of skills from the past that you acquired. And so ping-ponging ideas off of that with that kind of person or the group of people in a mastermind that he's also a part of. But his favorite, of course, partner is Monish Pabrai. That is just very important because it will allow you to see potential loopholes in the way you're thinking about a potential investment that you might not see on your own terms, right? And what I loved about Spiers is he's open and honest into admitting his faults and his weaknesses. And he also kind of really warns potential investors, such as maybe us, to really kind of be aware, not only about human nature by and large, to understand the market and psychology, right, of buyers at any given point in time, or maybe also historically to see patterns and trends and realize those, but then also go ahead and be aware of your own weaknesses and strengths. Because, for instance, this really interesting story is that he was at first, I think, based out of New York, where he kind of had his first successes, and then he realized that the energy of New York wouldn't be as protective for him as an individual, and it would play more towards his weaknesses than it would play towards his strengths. And I find that fascinating. So he chose to move somewhere else where ego wouldn't be seduced by maybe wanting a nicer car or, wanting to have a helicopter and all this kind of stuff, because he wanted to keep himself and his psychology in restraints so he can optimize and work and perform under the optimum surroundings, right? And I find that really fascinating. So it's about this lifestyle creation, but in a very different sense than what we usually hear it, right? Not kind of I'm going to make millions and billions, going to have a yacht and all this kind of stuff, but more about what do I need to do to be the best possible human being and perform the best possible in my field of choice in my job that I can do. And then the last thing that I want to mention, otherwise I feel like I can make this video super long because I really, really like this book. I hope you can tell by how I really am passionate about it. But another thing that struck me that I found really interesting is that Guy Spier, and what kind of changed the trajectory of his career and helped him when he felt really stuck, was he really got into self-development. And he's I believe Oxford graduated, and so from Ivy League schools, he is very education and self-development and that kind of stuff is more for hocus pocus. It's more woo-woo. I think that's what you call it in English. But so I find it really interesting because what ended up is that he ended up attending Unleash the Power Within, that event with Tony Robbins. And yes, it completely inspired me when I was reading this book, and I heard it from such a smart person, how he kind of talked about it, how he thought he would never attend an event like that because it seemed like he was part of some sort of weird sect that was screaming and jumping in the air, and that's completely not him. He's more very level, very academic, I would say. And so what is so fascinating is that he went ahead, attended this event, just tried to be open, go for it and all this kind of stuff. And it kind of really unlocked something in him and how he started thinking differently about his career and the trajectory of it. And then I, of course, felt inspired, which I love about books sometimes because we get those ideas. And then I've been meaning to go to Tony Robbins' event, Unleash the Power Within, for years. And I just never kind of had this final oomph to do it. And maybe this video might be your oomph to read the book or to go to the event or whatever. And yeah, this is totally not sponsored, by the way, by Tony Robbins. But I find it so fascinating because I ended up attending with my husband then, and it was definitely, it's something unlocking and unleashing and all this kind of stuff. And it's something really there that will just make you feel transformed in a way. And then the whole thing started his journey of being, I would say, more towards self-development, more towards how he saw this kind of subject matter that he previously just just negate it. And it's interesting how we sometimes do it in life, right? And then we find this thing and we're like, okay, yeah, just try it. And then it turns out to be so amazing for us, because it's oftentimes the things that reject the most. There's something there that we want to learn, right? If we really reject them. And that sounds like something that he went through. And anyways, I find it fascinating. I hope you found my short review on this book interesting. If you're interested and you want me to do more reviews on different books that I'm reading on investing and entrepreneurship, business, that kind of stuff, self-development, then drop a comment down below. Let me know. Maybe you have a suggestion of a book that you want me to do a review on. If you're reading this book right now, or you're listening to it, or you have listened to it, let me know if you liked it after watching this video. And then if you want any of my other opinions on Unleash the Power Within with Tony Robbins, let me know as well. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks so much for watching and have a great day. Bye.